under that umbrella description of a dog sport, I will include them because I think of dog sports as things to get people to do stuff with their dog. Welcome back to Tales from the Trials, episode 2, and we've made it to February, so we've got a couple episodes now. Recap episode 1. Michelle, do you want to do that?
Sure. So we kind of did an introduction for us and our dogs. And we talked a little bit about Canicross and kind of how to get into dog sports. My editor also said I say a lot. So I'm going to try to get all of my out of the way right now so we don't have to deal with that for the rest of the podcast.
Oh, this is going to be a fun one. And with that, let's get into episode 2, where we are going to go over how to get into dog sports more in depth. So getting into it, the most popular dog sports, we are going to start with agility. We hit Canicross a lot, so while that is becoming more popular, it is more popular in the UK. We're not going to hit on it as much this time around. Barn hunt, scent work, and fast cat / lure coursing, but mostly fast cat because that's what more people know. So Michelle, take it away. What types of dogs are best for agility?
Agility is there we go. There it was. Agility is more of like a team sport, I feel like. So you see a lot of herding breeds that do agility because they're athletic, they're high drive, they want to work, they're very trainable. So dogs that have those kinds of qualities. Now, you can do agility with any dog, really.
Fast cat. Which dogs are best for that?
Fast cat, I feel like, is more your high drive, prey drive dogs. So a lot of terriers, again, a lot of working breeds, a lot of labs, any dog that will chase things and not give up when they put their paw on the string. Like
And then barn hunt. Were you at the practice when we had the Jack Russell Terrier get introduced?
I don't think so. No, because I feel like I would have remembered that, and I don't remember that.
Wonderful.
I bet. I'm kind of mad now that I didn't show up for that.
So terriers do amazing. Jack Russells were made for flushing things out of burrows. So were the dachshunds. I don't know how to pronounce that one correctly. I have heard it too many ways, and I'm bad at words. So we're just going to comment farm that one. Besides the Jack Russells, the Parson Russells, and the Kessels of the world, and if you're from our dog talk world and you know Kessel, you know exactly which dog I'm talking about. What other dogs do great at barn hunt?
So barn hunt was designed for terriers. And what barn hunt is it's done off leash, but they put a bunch of hay bales in a space and have a rat in a tube, and the dog finds the rat. It's very dog driven, which is why it's considered like an entry level sport. There's very little training besides building drive for the rat and introducing the dog to the rat. I just started training in barn hunt, so somebody else is probably a lot more versed and experienced than what I am. But that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, so you and Nike at our last practice, she really started to understand going for the rat. So like our practices, they introduced the rat in a cage where the dog can see the rat, and then they put it in the tube where the rat is safe. And if you are at all concerned about the rat's safety in barn hunt, go to the Barn Hunt Association's website. They have not only an entire chapter of the rule book dedicated to rat care, but a whole page on the website dedicated to the rat care, as well as a gallery of all the rats that they use. They love these things. They are pets, and they are genuinely adorable. Terrence's first practice he went to with me, he was wearing a hoodie and it was a little loose on his arm, and the rat crawled into his hoodie, and he had to like suction his hoodie around his elbow to keep it from going all the way up his shirt because it decided to burrow in his hoodie. And
That's fantastic.
it was hilarious.
Yeah.
I might also want to own rats at one point. Scent work.
So scent work is, and I feel like scent work is the most versatile as far as dog breeds, right? So like when you go to a bite sport trial, it's all Malinois and German Shepherds. If you go to an agility trial, it's mostly herding dogs.
Border collies.
Right. If you go to, and there's not anything wrong with that. That's just the temperament, builds, drive that does well at that sport.
You go to a scent work trial.
Yeah. So scent work, any dog with a nose can do scent work. At obedience trials and rally trials, you see a lot of golden retrievers. So there's dominant breeds in each sport because temperament, breeding, functionality, that's just what those dogs do. That's what they're supposed to do. There's less things to overcome when you're training as a dog that's made to do something genetically that you don't have to battle their genetics for. Scent work, you don't have that. I see everything at scent work trials. I see Chihuahuas, I see mixed breeds, I see Huskies, I see Hounds, I see Labs. It's across the board. There's not a dominant breed at a scent work trial, at least none of the ones that I've been to. And I've titled one of my dogs to elite level in UKC. So scent work I've done for probably about 5 or 6 years, minus not accounting for the 2 years of COVID where we couldn't do anything.
So one thing that I like to tell people about dog sports when they ask why do we do dog sports is we developed dog sports historically to meet the needs of dogs that no longer have a functioning job to do. So a lot of dog sports, like your bitey sports, those were made to prove bloodlines and your Schutzhund dogs and all of that. We don't use working border collies as much. They're still very well used around the world, but we don't use them as much for herding animals. So we need something else for them because we've been breeding this into these breeds for years, and we don't want to start taking away the function of a breed by wanting them to be more pet qualities versus still being able to do their initial job, which is why breed clubs of whatever country you're in, so like ours is Breed Clubs of America, they are so fun to go read what the dog's original purpose was, because then you also know, hey, what might my dog do good in? Like you said, golden retrievers do amazing in rally and obedience because there's a meme about golden retrievers for a reason. They are wonderful. Your basset hounds, they're stubborn as all get out, which is why watching one do agility besides the short legs is always so entertaining. Dog sports, if you don't have any idea where to start, especially if you have a mixed breed dog, if you have an inkling of what breeds your dog might be, then just go to like Labrador Retriever Club of America or the American Pit Bull Terrier Club. I don't think they put of America at the end of it because it's at the beginning of the name. I'm not 100% sure. But like if your dog has a word like terrier or hound in their name, that also gives you an idea of what they might be good at. Terriers are made to kill things and get rid of vermin. Hounds are made to find things and chase them or track them, depending on if it's sight or scent, and then kill them. Once you do some research and figure out which sports are most likely that your dog likes and which sports are available near you. And usually you can figure that out with Google or Facebook groups. How then do we decide if our dog likes a sport?
So I'm going to use Echo as an example, I think, because she's my super shy, shutty down one. So Echo's thing is if she keeps doing what I ask her to do, she's having a good time. If she checks out and leaves, stops in the middle of it, then that's not her thing. So those are two really big signs. I think you can also see like a change in behavior in your dog that's pretty easy. So every dog has like different tells, different body language, different things that they do. Tail up in the air, ears perked, like facial expressions. Like you can tell if your dog is having a good time or not.
Fast cat is probably one of the easiest to tell because every dog that I have noticed that genuinely loves fast cat, including Merle, who doesn't bark, barks and whines and is like losing their minds when they see the lure. And it is especially the golden retrievers. So we have a golden retriever club in our area.
Oh, yes.
And so they go to a lot of events.
Right.
Watching golden retrievers get hyped to chase something is hilarious because most of us think of a golden retriever as kind of a couch potato dog.
Chill.
And they're so versatile.
Yeah, they really are.
Which is also why they're like one of the top 4 breeds for service work because they can be super chill. And they also will work their butts off for you, especially if you give them the right food. So health things.
Yes, I actually wanted to come back to that. So I do I'm one of the 2 fitness trainers in our group that do all of like the canine conditioning, fitness training stuff. So with scent work, there's really not a whole lot to test for in scent work. But if you're doing like high impact stuff, you want to make sure that dog is sound, right? It doesn't have hip dysplasia. It doesn't have like a spine issue like an IVDD. Its elbows are good. Even with some of like the the lower impact sports like rally and obedience, there's a lot physically going on in an obedience dog as far as them having to weight shift to the rear and the weight distribution is off. So you want to make sure that dog has good knees, good hips, and there is some jumping involved. So you want to check those elbows too. They've made it, AKC at least has introduced a preferred class for obedience to where your jump height is half the height at the withers. So a 16-inch dog would only jump 8 for preferred, and you would compete with other preferred dogs.
Missed that update. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I do too. That gives the senior dogs that may be starting to, a break, or that may have started developing arthritis somewhere because that happens. More of an opportunity to keep competing and keep showing.
And when we say high impact sports, what we're talking about, and I'll use Dolly as a great example for this, she got pulled from agility. So we found out she had hip dysplasia. I ran them in a fast cat fun run. It was our second one that we ran, not the one we talked about last episode. And I'm watching her run to me, and this dog does everything at 110%, especially when she gets to run.
She's a psychopath.
Her and Nike are best friends.
They are.
And so I'm watching her run at me, and she got in a mindset with Fast Cat where I essentially had to just let her tackle me so I could grab her. Otherwise, I essentially had to lasso my dog. And I've got some really cute photos out of her having zoomies where she ran almost all the way back to the start line and all the way back before I got her the first time, which is where those photos on the wall came from. And I'll
Okay.
put those up if I can find the digital file here. So she is chaotic. And so I'm watching, preparing to catch her, and I just noticed this weird step that she did. And then all of her steps after that were just off. And immediately I'm like, something just happened. I don't know what. And so I get her. And the first concerning sign after seeing that was I didn't have to get bulldozed by my dog to catch her. She just let me get her.
She didn't try to run you over?
No, which is very uncommon. That's like her favorite thing to do is run into me. And I was like, oh crap, you're hurt because you're self-limiting, and this dog does not self-limit.
No, she does not. She has no sense of self-preservation.
And so I try to walk her off, and she won't put her back leg on the ground. And I was like, crap, was there a hole or something? Like, did she twist her ankle? So I need to get her out of the chute, and I'm aware that this lure is about to run by us. And so I'm like, she's going to try to chase it again, even on a leash, even if she's hurt, because again, no sense of self-preservation in this dog. So I just pick her up, and she's like 55 pounds at the time, and she's so used to me doing random crap like that. So I just pick her up and carry her, and suddenly 55 pounds is a lot heavier when you're carrying it 100 yards and like mildly panicking the whole time because you're just like, oh God, what did my dog just do to herself?
Right.
And so I get her to the crate. Merle finally calms down because you could hear him screaming the whole time because he was mad that his sister got to go do something and he wasn't. So I'm like messing with her toes and everything, thinking maybe she hurt a toe. And I cannot recreate anything where she shows any signs of pain, which her signs of pain are so incredibly subtle where she won't yelp, she won't like show teeth or anything. But when she's really hurt, she'll put her face, like her chin, on your hand and just be like, and look at you like, please stop. I don't enjoy this. And it's really sweet and adorable, but it's also like, it kind of breaks your heart a little bit.
It's kind of pathetic.
It's very pathetic. That's a great word for it. And so I think I texted you after that, and I was like, I think Dolly just hurt herself. Do I take her? Like, where do I take her? Because at this time, I didn't know we had a rehab vet in town. And you were like, well, I use Dr. Holster at Momentum. And I was like, okay. So I get home, hop on their website, and they're closed on the weekend. So I'm like, all right, make a note, call them on Monday, like set an alarm on my phone. So I watch her over the weekend, and it's that weird, sometimes she limps, sometimes she doesn't. And I'm just like, what is going on with you?
Those intermittent things, they suck. They're hard.
So we get her x-rays done to figure out what's going on. And Dr. Holster tells us, like, hey, she's got hip dysplasia. Like, you need to not do this sport with her. Because what we ended up figuring out was she had extended her back leg just that slight bit extra. And that's what I saw was it just tweaked it because she was going full speed, chasing this lure, no care in the world. Just, when you've done something, you just overexerted that little extra bit and you're just like,
pull the muscle.
That doesn't feel good. That's essentially what she did.
Yeah. Our dogs can do that too, for sure.
So we were super happy it wasn't an iliopsoas issue that time. But then I was like, oh,
next time.
Okay, what sports are now on the table? Because this was her second run ever. And I think she was like 16 inches at the time, 16, 17 inches. So she had the multiplier. She was already under 9 seconds, which is fast.
That's fast.
For a poodle mix. Like, this isn't a sighthound mix.
Right.
And she was like, okay, you might be able to do agility because that was what I really wanted to do with her was agility. But dock diving is absolutely off the table because there's so much hamstring and extension when launching that's pretty much guaranteed it will cause her arthritis.
Right.
And so she started her on her medicine regimen, which I'm not going to talk about on here because I am not the professional on that. I just follow what my vet tells me to do.
As you
And
should.
so far, it works fantastic. And the internet likes to debate that entirely too much. So, needless to say, they get monthly checkups at the vet, and Dolly goes in. After this last one, she goes in anytime she's stiff for this ultrasound therapy, which works so well on her hips, where you can literally see it the day of and the day after.
Mhm.
You just see her moving more fluidly. So it's also like your conditioning program that we do, and then I have to manually stretch out her iliopsoas at least twice a week so that she doesn't get super stiff. But it's February in Missouri. Currently, today, it is 3 degrees outside. It is so cold. They loved it. They were playing so hard this morning, and they didn't want to come in. And I was like, you're insane. So yeah, all that to say, that really long tangent, is make sure that you get your dog checked out by a vet before injuries. And if you're going to have a sport dog, seriously look into pet insurance.
Oh, yeah.
Because sport dogs, it's not a matter of if they get injured, it is a matter of when. And when it comes with pet insurance, you have to have the insurance before the dog gets hurt for them to cover it.
Right. Yeah, I'm waiting for my cattle dog to blow out her or to injure, not blow it out was
Hopefully
the
not a
wrong word.
blowout. I don't want that.
Yeah, no, but I'm waiting for a TPLO or a CCL injury.
Yeah, if you have a dog that has no sense of self-preservation, you may as well start a surgery fund. Because the likelihood of them hurting themselves is high. Merle actually has a minor tear in his CCL that we almost didn't see on the x-ray, but they just trusted me when I said something was wrong with my dog and it needs to get looked at. And even the person who read the radiographs, I think is what they're called, my x-ray tech over here will correct me on that, was like, this is so minor that I almost wouldn't even call it.
Yeah.
But it is something to be aware of in the future. You're very likely that if he does high impact sports, he is going to tear it.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if you've seen Merle when food gets involved, but like there's no way he's not going to tear it at some point.
Right. Yeah.
He just starts spinning.
Yeah. So another way that we can reduce injury risks in our sport dogs
Conditioning.
or just any dog is have them on a fitness program.
And not be overweight.
Yes.
The amount of just losing the extra weight for Merle that took off, he went from 80 to 60 pounds, and he's up to 65 now of muscle. And our vet's like, yeah, we like this.
It makes a huge difference. And I don't care. I mean, I'd like for you to go through me, but I mean,
there's a lot of really good canine specialists.
There's a lot of great fitness trainers out there. And also,
if you can find one near you, that's even better.
It's better.
Because then you get in-person help.
Right. We'll work virtual, but like I can't lay hands on a dog virtual.
No. The other thing when it comes to finding a dog sport, if you don't really know what your dog might be into, is just kind of watch them. So you had talked about your trainer with Dagon told you have a tracking dog because he couldn't get his nose off the ground.
Right. Yeah. So Dagon we started in tracking, right? And this was the third local trainer that I had went to. Cause he's a hound mix. He will not like pay attention to me. He will not do any sort of anything I want him to. Nose to the ground 80% of the time. When his nose is not on the ground, it means there's food over his head. So we had a trainer recommend tracking. So we started training tracking, and that was great. And then it got real hot real quick. Tracking is kind of a seasonal thing in Missouri.
As are most outdoor sports.
Most things are, yeah, that are outside for sure. So it got too hot, and dogs don't track well in the heat. When they pant, it affects how much odor they can get through their nose. It's That's a whole science-y thing. Yeah, we can go over that. We can circle back to that. And I'll get more details on that maybe for next time, and we can geek out on that a little bit. But yeah, dogs don't do well tracking in the heat. Well, they do, but they do better when it's, colder.
But when it's colder, you have to make sure you warm them up properly.
Right.
So they don't hurt themselves.
Yeah. So we tried tracking for a few months and it got really hot. So we switched over to scent work. Scent work is something we can do in a smaller space. We can do it inside in the air conditioning. That's also better for me to be inside in the air conditioning and not out when it's like 110 in the shade. So we switched from tracking to scent work, and that was a really easy transition. And he gets to use his nose. He gets to use his nose a lot, but there are rules that he has to follow when he is using his nose.
Which also makes it easier on normal walks because they do learn the difference between, oh, this is sniffy time and this is I need to actually pay attention.
Right.
I found that with Merle when we run Canicross because I use the same harness for both sports on him.
Mm-hmm.
I use a different leash because the Canicross one I made to go near my waist and not have to be held on to, whereas the scent work one is a super long line that he can just take me wherever he wants to go. But even on sniffy walks, he knows the difference, mostly because I'm giving the cues of our cue for getting ready to run is ready, ready, yip, yip. Ready, ready is just kind of like this cue that I've transitioned to everything that we do.
It's a pre-cue is what we call that. Yeah.
I don't know all the technical terms,
That's
guys.
okay.
I just like reading rule books, and I want more people to do things with their dogs. That's why Michelle's here. And so, like, you'll hear me say it at everything when I want their attention. I'll just look at him and be like, hey, ready, ready? And you've seen it in Barn Hunt. He zones in. He's just like,
yes, I am.
what
ready,
are we
ready.
doing now? That means I get food soon.
What's
And
happening?
He gets so intense so fast, which is hilarious for how laid back of a dog he is to see that switch flip. And then, so their run cue is yip, yip. One of Merle's names that he almost got was Appa from Avatar The Last Airbender because he's a big fluffy white dog.
He is a big fluffy white dog.
And I almost, for Halloween this past year, and I might do it this year, shave his mohawk into the arrow on the front of his head because he's already got it through the back side of him.
That's
and
fantastic.
Then dye it blue.
That was going to be my next question is what are you going to dye it?
Yep.
Perfect.
I just got dye in. So on yesterday, so I'm excited to get them colorful again. One fun thing that a lot of people don't realize, because a lot of people, they go to a couple scent work practices or classes and they're like, this is boring. It's a lot of sitting around and waiting. The thing is, with scent work specifically, you don't have to do a lot to tire your dog out the rest of the day. And apparently, if you come to my practices, you only have to do like 2 or 3 rounds, and then your dog is exhausted.
Yeah, Jazz is not allowed to set hides out until she has a scent theory class.
Which we also have a seminar in the works of happening with a local person who we will have some virtual spots open. So keep your ears out for that.
Yeah, we've found a presenter. She's a local judge with AKC. She's fantastic. I've shown under her multiple times, and she's fantastic.
But yeah, so if you do scent work, even with just a couple smells or a couple hides and a few rounds of it, like your dog's going to calm down a lot. So that's a very helpful hack is like, even if you don't want to do official scent work and you just want to like teach your dog to find your keys, that is something that you can teach. And it is very helpful. One of Merle's tasks before he failed his public access test was helping me find my car because I lose it constantly in parking lots. I have a method of parking near cart corrals because of that.
Oh, interesting.
And there was one time after a scent work practice at Home Depot where I had parked in a different row and legitimately had to call one of the people because I thought my car had gotten stolen. I was 2 rows away from it, and it was closer to the door than I've ever parked. So that was a fun day where I got to look like a complete idiot. But,
Well,
ADHD, short-term memory. I didn't pay enough attention to where I left my car.
and at least nobody stole it.
Which is impressive because I'm not known for locking my car. In my defense, my fob doesn't work even with a new battery.
I was gonna ask you about that. As soon as you just push the button on your keychain.
I have an old car. I just trust that it's not worth stealing.
Yeah, scent work really is a lot of. It's more of a mental activity than it is a
hard.
physical one. Yeah, so there's a lot of problem solving that your dog has to do, and if you introduce a problem that your dog isn't ready to solve, like if your dog is still at the beginner levels and they're doing addition subtraction, and you all of a sudden introduce them to like calculus or geometry or something that's above their pay grade, they're gonna struggle with it.
Which is understandable.
Yeah, for sure.
And each new thing that you introduce, you want to go back to that beginner level.
Yes.
So, like,
absolutely.
We got to witness this with Merle last week. We introduced him officially to searching cars. We have introduced him previously, but it was for a video, and I didn't think to introduce him before that. And we had too many cars too close together. And one of his things that he's working through is a fear of trucks and cars that make really loud sounds, because during a fear stage, a truck engine revved next to him and he peed himself. He was so scared. So we are 3 years past that, still working through it.
Yeah.
He now doesn't spook when he has a job to do.
He's gotten a lot better.
I'm very proud of that.
He
I give
has.
him a lot of crap, but
Yeah.
he has worked his butt off to get as solid as he is.
He's hit a lot of milestones.
He really has, especially like this last year. So we can continue talking about scent work because both of us absolutely love the Sniffy sports.
Yeah.
Transitioning out of all of our scent work topics that we both find absolutely fun and we enjoy and we do together a lot, let's go over. We put out a poll in our Facebook group,
Yes.
in our Discord, which we'll have linked if you want to join it, and in the Midwest Dog Sports Crew Facebook page, asking people to rank what they believe are the most entry level to the most advanced sports in order. My God, was that entertaining.
That was fantastic. We got a lot of different views and a lot of great feedback, and they were all valid.
And to everyone who commented, thank you so much for proving that we as dog people can be civilized. It was nothing mean or rude was said. It was so nice to read that. And seriously, thank you so much, because that is a big part of what we're trying to promote.
Right.
Is everybody working together and playing nice. And Facebook is not known for that.
No.
So thank you from the depths of our souls. And let's get into it. So I sent you a picture of this, but I've got it right in front of me, so I'll do most of the
Right. Yeah, I
talking.
put my phone away so it wouldn't go off.
Also put mine on airplane mode. So our entry-level sports, and these are not in any direct order. These are just, we've got entry, mid, and advanced. Some of these, depending on personal preference, will flow between different ones. General consensus for entry-level sports are Fast Cat / precision coursing, which is the UKC's equivalent to AKC Fast Cat.
Mm-hmm.
Canny Cross.
Running with your dog.
Not the other joring sports, because all of those require more training. So
And
they ended up
specialized
in
equipment.
mid
Right.
to advanced.
Okay.
So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
We only had a few people comment about those. Specifically, it was in our Discord, or a couple people who do pulling sports messaged me, and they were like, hey, there's a distinction here. And I was like, please enlighten me.
Yeah.
Tricks, which is one of those where it can start and then it grows between all the levels.
Right.
Rally, which is the same thing. Rally is like obedience, but make it fun. Scent work, which again
obviously
starts easy and you've got a solid progression. barn hunt, and then lure coursing / racing. Because a lot of lure coursing, turns out, is just sight hound instincts.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah. And the thing that a lot of those have in common is it's either advanced level obedience stuff, which is what rally is.
And by advanced level obedience, we mean like pet obedience,
right?
Not
like canine good citizen,
obedience.
Right? Yeah. So it's advanced. It's an advanced, like,
it's your next level. What do you do after you finish all the classes at your local dog trainer?
Right. What do you do after you get your canine good citizen title? You start training for rally if you want to do more.
And I'm going to throw therapy dog in the mid category and confirmations also in the mid category. And those are the two where people are like, those aren't dog sports. No, but they still require a lot of skill and training to do. And you get groups together that do them. So
right.
Under that umbrella description of a dog sport, I will include them because I think of dog sports as things to get people to do stuff with their dog.
Right. And the other thing that the entry level stuff has in common is it's all dog driven. There's very limited instruction from the handler.
For the most part, yes.
You still have to know what you're doing and how to handle a leash with scent work and things like that. But your training as the human is also pretty minimal compared to things further up on the list.
I will say, I genuinely, and it might just be because we practice all of our rally stuff off leash. I didn't realize in Rally Novice your dog has to be leashed.
Yes, it does.
It is so much harder to do everything and manage the leash.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to be brave enough to trial and just immediately get out of Novice because I am so bad at leash management. And Merle just looks at me like, can you please get your stuff together? Because I know what I'm doing. So then you do have things like tricks and rally where it is a lot more team-based. So the human does still have a decent amount to do.
Right.
So they're probably more on like that sliding scale of beginner, but also moving into that mid category, which brings in disc. And a lot of people argue disc is beginner. And I argue it's not. But that's because I have a dog who refuses to chase a frisbee to save his life. And so I'm just like, I understand how it can be. If your dog has that drive to chase a frisbee, absolutely, then it is an entry-level sport for you.
You can borrow mine.
I do.
Anytime.
It's so much fun. But if your dog doesn't have that drive already and you have to teach them to find the disc rewarding, I put that as a mid category because it is hard.
That takes a lot of effort. Yeah, building drive in a dog takes a lot of effort.
And Merle is like, give me tricks all day long because I just want food. I don't care if I have a toy. And so one of the things, we have a lady who makes dog tugs. One of the ones she makes is a treat pouch tug.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's making me one and I'm very excited for it. So moving into the mid category, and please leave your own thoughts in the comments because I know we're kind of glancing over this as we're starting to run out of a little bit of time here. Entry level accessibility, meaning it is either super convenient, meaning not a lot of equipment necessary to run it, or the equipment that's necessary is easy to be found in your area, which is why a lot of people will say Fast Cat is entry level. It is, as long as you know a club that has the equipment.
Right.
Minimal effort either on the dog or human. Only one of the group has to actually work really hard. So like Candy Cross might not be the most physically accessible for all humans because physical disabilities, lower back issues,
mobility, things,
anything like
right,
that is going to make that so much harder. But if your dog does like to pull and you are safe, you can check out the other joring sports, which are literally translated to pulling. I don't know what language. I'm going to assume Northern European of some type because that's what it sounds like. But you can use like scooters or bikes or sleds and do dryland mushing. There's a whole bunch of those sports.
Yeah, there's
there.
a lot of options there.
Barn hunt requires some human physicality because you need to be able to climb to get the rats. But there's other people, and if you talk to the judge before the trial, every sport will make an accommodation.
Right.
Not only because it's legally required, but because it's the nice thing to do. We want everybody to have fun with their dogs. And we have one lady, and you know exactly who I'm talking about as soon as I say this. She unfortunately had this dog pass away last year who did scent work. And one of the first times I got to meet her, she was talking about her dog, and I'm not naming her because I don't know if she wants to be called out or not. But he is the sweetest dog. And I asked her, I was like, why do you still do scent work with him? She's like, well, it makes him happy. And even though he can't hear and he can't see, his nose still works. And then she let me watch them work. And that dog was having the time of his life searching for those smells. And like that was the moment it hit for me. Like, we know dogs have a better sense of smell than we do. That was the moment when I was like, man, they really do process their world completely different from us.
Yeah.
And watching that little dog work was just, I'm so glad I got to meet him a couple times before he passed. And I cried like a baby when she told us that he passed. I'm actually tearing up a little bit now, so I'm going to move on.
Okay,
Back to mid. So, disc. And then I put NASDA and shed hunt. The rat hunting part of NASDA, I would put entry level because it's pretty easy. It's like barn hunt. They either look for the rat or they don't. And they get, when they're outside doing it, a trail to follow to the rat.
Right.
However, you then get shed hunt involved, which is retrieving antlers.
Yes.
Which, same as the frisbee. If your dog already naturally retrieves things for you, fantastic. That's going to be a lot easier to teach.
If
I
you
have two dogs that are freaking retrieving dogs.
Yeah.
2 breeds of retrievers.
Will not
Won't play
retrieve.
fetch.
Yeah. Will not. I've seen it. I can vouch for that. They will not. Yeah.
It's not even a game of like only throw, no take. It is why? You go get it.
Right? That's exactly what they do. Yeah.
Very sassy.
Yeah. So if you have to teach a dog a retrieve for that, and that's a complicated.
There's a lot that goes into
There's
a retrieve.
a lot that goes into a retrieve. It's complicated.
And then the third part of NASDA is lost item. So your dog learns to find a metal, leather, and cloth item of your scent. And then when you hit level 3, which is the highest level of it, they have to find a stranger scent. Sorry, level 2 is the stranger scent. Level 3 is a mix of both.
Oh, okay.
So like the judge will have an extra sock or something that they've sent in. You teach your dog to match the scent, and then they have to find the judge's items.
Oh, okay.
It is so fun to watch. And actually, we got to see it happen in real life at our last trial because somebody lost their keys during trailing and locating in the field. And so the judge brought out her dog, and so like, she showed. We got a mini seminar in the middle of the trial because she's like showing us how they match everything. And then it goes out, and Terrence was there, and I was making a leash because I was a vendor at that trial. And I told him, I was like, hey, you need to go watch this.
Right.
And he came back. He was like, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Yeah. And I was like, yeah.
It's impressive.
It's so fun to watch. So also in the mid tier, I put obedience because obedience is harder than rally.
Yes.
Because
it's more formal.
It's so much more formal.
It's so much more formal.
And like everything has to be precise. And when done well, it is beautiful.
It
to
is
watch.
beautiful. It takes a lot of work to do it well.
It does. And then confirmation, because again, there is an art to showing a dog well.
Right.
And like, I didn't fully realize it. I showed goats as a kid. I don't remember a whole lot of it. I remember a lot of the like learning to take care of the animal side. But I was talking with the judges at our last UKC show. And they were kind of talking about how, like, what they're looking for, what goes into it. And I was like, there's a reason there's professional handlers.
Yeah.
It is a skill.
Yeah.
Plus, you also have to have a good dog.
Yes. Yeah.
And then I put agility in parentheses for fun. Because this is actually a conversation we had on Discord last night.
Oh.
Jenny joined in.
I missed that.
You did. It was a really great conversation.
I need to go back and read that.
Well, this one was in the voice
Then-
chat, so it's not there.
Oh,
Well, it
well.
was our training thing for Mondays.
Oh, okay.
So Jenny and I were talking. They had brought up a really good point about there's agility for fun trainers, and then
Mhm.
there's agility for competition
Right.
trainers. And I had never mentally made that distinction.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, that's why there's like separate types of agility that I've seen.
Okay.
Where like I went into it wanting to compete.
Right.
I got my neighbor's mom into agility. She lives up in Chicago.
This is fantastic. This is a
I
great
got
story.
her into dog sports completely. She tried sit where she was like, I like it. She's good at it, but I don't like sitting around that much. This lady is always on the go. She's
That's fair.
fantastic. And so I was like, you should try agility. Like, you don't have to compete in it, but it's a really good training and bonding experience for you and your dog.
Right.
This woman now schedules her work trips around her agility classes.
Yeah, me too.
And I
Welcome to it.
love it. And she told me that, and I just started laughing, and I went, welcome to the cult. And so, yeah, like if you're going to do agility, mostly for that, like just having fun with your dog, giving them an outlet to do things, absolutely, that is a mid-tier because you can skip all of the dangerous obstacles. I would consider Dolly's agility career to have stopped at mid-tier because we did tunnels, incredibly low jumps when we had to jump,
Right.
and hoops.
Yeah.
And barrels. Like I didn't let her, she loved the A-frame. There was one class where we had a thing blocking the A-frame and she jumped it to do the A-frame.
Oh.
A-frame was against the wall, blocked off.
Yeah, Nike's done that too. Like I have to put up one of those like 4-foot PVC
Yep.
partitions with like the fabric over it.
Yeah, we had to do that in class after that.
Yeah.
And our trainer was just laughing.
Yeah.
He's like, tunnel suck is usually what gets dogs. You have that for the A-frame.
Yeah,
And I
Nike
was
does
like-
that too. Like she will go off course for the A-frame and then she'll try to get to the bottom of it and realize there's like a wall on the downside of it. She's like, I can't get out. I'm like, yeah.
You trapped yourself.
You figure it out.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So yes, same. We also have to block the A-frame when it's not in play in class.
So now on to advanced. And this one, there were some that people put things that I vehemently believe to be advanced and novice. And I think you might already know where I'm going with this.
I don't think I do, but I'm super intrigued.
Okay, so we had a ton of people saying that dock diving was an entry-level sport. And again, I'm not saying anybody is wrong, but from a physical standpoint, I cannot agree with that. Because yes, teaching your dog to swim, entry-level, super easy. Teaching your dog to launch off of something into a pool of 4-foot deep water to grab a toy
And bring it back to you.
is so much harder unless you already have a dog that's prone to do that. And I think that's what the case was.
Yeah.
Was we had people commenting that who like they knew dock diving, they've done it
Right.
before, which is fair. That's biases.
Right.
Everybody's gonna do that. Like I'm gonna think agility is easier than it actually is because
You've
I like
done it. Right. Yeah.
it's a sport I love. So to me, it's worth being difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Scent work, same thing. It's worth being difficult because I've seen the benefits it's brought to my super concerned about everything dog.
Right.
He jumped off of, we did our own version of dock diving this summer because we go to a river access point and it has the water deep enough
Mm-hmm.
and it has a ledge. And so we got him up there and I was waiting to catch him and he actually jumped in. And it wasn't until I watched the video back that I realized that was the first time his head had ever gone underwater
Oh.
while swimming. I never noticed that. I also then realized that I did this in the worst order possible. I forgot to show him how to get out of the water first, which is like the number one rule of dock diving. So I'm kind of glad that we did that at a river because that looks nothing like a dock.
Right.
So the likelihood of me getting him up to our, I don't know if I can call them our partner club, but our friends club up
Right.
north, Smoking Guns, to get on a dock this summer. I do think I still stand a chance of getting him to do it. I'm just also aware that I might have mildly traumatized him, and it might make it to where he doesn't ever do it.
Yeah.
But he was still willing to go swimming.
We should probably make sure to show him the ramp first if
And
we
that's
ever
how
get
they
up
do
there.
it. Like, I've talked with their trainers, and they're like, you did that so bad. And I was like, yeah, I realize that now. So, like, I understand where people are coming from when they say that it could be an entry level. Because if you have a dog predisposed to it, absolutely.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. If you
just-
have a retriever,
Or just a
Or
brave
water,
dog,
right? Yeah.
then absolutely, it could be. The other ones were unanimously, like, highest level. I think a couple people put them at mid, but it was like that mid going into high. Fly ball.
I was going to say, I really feel like flyball should be in that upper level.
So fly ball is a team retrieving game of pure chaos where they do go over 4 jumps. For some
It-
reason, last month I thought it was 3, and I like had to go back and watch videos, and I was making fun of myself.
Is it 4? It's
It is
4
4 jumps.
hurdles.
And
Okay.
then they get the box. The box launches the ball a couple inches so that the dog doesn't hit their face on it. They do the rebound off the box, do the 4 hurdles back. After the dog crosses the first hurdle on its way back, the other dog is allowed to cross that
To be
hurdle.
released. Okay.
So you have to time it right.
Yeah, I
It's
knew there was some
Not
timing things.
released, but they can't cross the first hurdle before that first dog is back over that hurdle.
Oh. So you have
So
to
also
gauge the speed of the dog in front of you
your dog's speed.
know your dog's speed so you know when the best time to release your dog
I
is.
am
Holy cow.
Yup. I am so impressed by flyball judges. Like, they have, I think, 4 judges. Because I think they have judges watching that spot specifically. They
Yeah.
have the main judge.
Okay.
And then they have the judge watching to make sure the dog doesn't drop the ball. It could only be the 3 judges, but I think Crufts specifically might have had an extra judge because there
okay.
was so
It's
much
Crufts.
going on.
Sure.
And it's the highest level
Right. Yeah.
competition there. So, like, yeah, it was insane.
That's fantastic.
But yeah, no, if you want to see real fun flyball, just
Fl-
go
ye-
look up Crufts.
Well, I mean, there's a ton of flyball videos online too.
it's
Those
becoming
are
more
really
of a
easy to
thing
find.
here.
Yeah.
We actually had a lady at our barn hunt practice last week
Yes.
who trains out in Oklahoma. And I'm like, my God, that is commitment. That is like a 4+ hour drive. And she was like, yeah, but it's really fun. And I really like my teammates. And I was just like,
Okay.
I
This is-
love
yeah.
this.
Yeah.
The next one, we talked about agility for fun.
Mm-hmm.
Agility for competition. Totally different world.
Totally different. It's a totally different mindset. So right now I'm doing agility for fun with Nike because I don't know enough about agility for competition. But I've spoke to enough people that I kind of get the gist of it, right? And I feel like it is a totally different mindset, right? Because you have to time your handling. Like, you have to focus a lot more on your handling and what you're doing and when you're doing it and where your dog is at and where your dog needs to be and what's the most efficient line that your dog should follow when they're running agility, and how do you communicate that to them and when do you communicate that to there's just and I'm sure there's so much. And like, I haven't even like nicked the tip of that iceberg, I'm sure, but there's a lot for like,
And that's not even counting.
that on a professional
trials.
level. Right. Yeah.
So yeah, agility is a beast. And then the top 2, which made me so happy. One of them surprised me a little bit because I didn't realize how much went into it because I don't have a dog that does it. Herding.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently herding has a lot. And as soon as you think about it, you're like, yeah, that makes sense. Your dog is working at an incredible distance. There's a reason that, like, shepherd's whistles, I think is what they're called, are
Uh-huh.
a thing. And it's just like this funny little whistle device you stick in your mouth and you play notes on it. And
Yeah.
it, like, it's shrill enough that
Right.
your dog can hear it from a distance.
Okay.
And I've seen videos of people using it and like watching border collies and Australian shepherds responding to it is fascinating.
Mm.
Watching border collies herd from a huge distance will
Oh.
always be like one of my favorite pastimes.
Right. Yeah. Those aerial views of collies herding, like, yeah, it's fantastic.
And the most advanced one, and I was so happy that everybody unanimously seemed to agree on this, bite sports.
Oh, yeah.
And the common saying is if you teach your dog a bite sport, it's essentially handing a toddler a loaded weapon.
I could see that. Yeah. That tracks.
There was a video I saw that went, I assume it went viral. I saw it, so I assume it got posted by a few of those pages that are known for like reposting content that goes viral.
Okay.
And it was this person with, it was either Malinois or Dutch Shepherd. I only saw the dog's face, so I'm not 100% sure what breed it was.
Fair.
But it was sitting there just staring at its handler with the I want to get it look. And its handler just kind of like had his hand over his mouth as just an extra reassurance. And the caption was, this lady's coat looks like our bite suits.
Oh.
And so it was like this big puffy overcoat.
Oh, no, it looked like a decoy.
It looked like a decoy suit. And the dog kept like glancing and then glancing up like, please, are we playing now? I didn't think we were playing. And it was so excited. And the guy is just like, no.
No, not a bite suit.
And just like extra caution. And people in the comments were like, if you can't trust your dog, all this and that. And I was like, do you understand how much self-control is being used by that dog right now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's not
It's
biting the
not
thing that
going
it
after
knows
it.
to.
Right.
That usually gets it a reward. So I was just like, that's really impressive for one. If I can
Yeah.
find the video, I will try to put it on screen. But it cracked me up. I watched that thing probably 20 times because I was just, the look on that dog's face was just like,
Yeah. So there's
pure joy.
Yeah. So with bite sports, and again, I haven't done this.
I want to be a decoy so bad.
I kind of do.
Just once. I just want to put a bite suit on one time
Right?
and know what it feels like to have that 40-pound fur missile
I mean,
just get you.
yeah, like I would have a bruise for like a month,
Weeks.
but it would be worth it. So there's so much precision in bite sports, like, and it's not just the healing. Like the healing is precise, but there's all of these different activities that the dog has to do. There's a bark and hold. There's a lot of stuff. There's like a handler defense section. There's a lot of different little activities and skills that you have to teach your dog for bite sports.
So bite sports was actually one of the last mini dog sports 101s I did when I was doing that series on TikTok.
Mhm.
And that's when I learned that there's like three, kind of like with NASDA, there's
Mhm.
3 different disciplines in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going off of a lot of FCI bite sports specifically.
Oh, okay.
I can't pronounce it. I think it's French. So
Yeah,
I'm going
the
to call it
French ring.
FCI because
Yeah.
that's a lot of words that I can't say properly.
Yeah.
But there's the protection side,
Right.
which is the handler protection, barking and holding, all
Mhm.
of that. There's the obedience side, which is so fun to watch.
Yeah.
And listening to the crowd during the obedience side, like it's fun. Especially when people, and you know that they're getting a high score, like
Right.
you hear the crowd
Yeah.
getting amped during it. It's so much fun. And then the third one is actually tracking, specifically because they want the
Oh.
dog to be able to self-control. So the whole concept of bite sports started as proving protection line dogs for the military.
Right. That makes sense.
Because, and all of this started like back during World War II
Sure.
and like post World War II. So yeah, bitey sports are intense. And
Yeah,
they're really fun.
Bite sports are
And it started
intense.
as a way to prove the dogs for military work.
Fair. Yeah.
Just like herding trials started to prove your dogs could herd, so they're good to keep reproducing. So everything for a dog sport, it goes back to we created dog sports to fulfill the genetic needs that we bred into these animals.
Right. And then we all moved into apartments and took that
Now
away.
we need something for them to do
And now we
so
need
they
to-
don't destroy all of our stuff.
Yes.
We totally skipped how to find a class. Essentially, Googling classes near you.
So, yeah.
Lindsay.
Right.
We can also come back to this
Yeah.
next episode.
So, how to find a class? Really, you'll want to find a local club, and you can search AKC's website. You can search all of the different venues' websites to see what's in your area. Google search. If you don't have anything close to you, there's a lot of great online resources to teach different skills and sports.
Personally, both of us have taken classes on Finzi and really enjoyed them.
Finzi's fantastic.
Know that there's some things regarding her as a human that some people disagree with, but the community she built and what she's done for positive-based training cannot be denied.
Right.
Like, her stuff is effective. And a few of our TikTok friends are actually trainers on her website, like Laura.
Oh.
Waldby?
Yes. Uh-huh.
She does amazing obedience stuff.
Echo and I have done several of her classes. So yes. Yeah.
So yeah, we highly recommend clubs, UKC, AKC. Essentially, you can Google whatever dog sport club near me. And like near me, put your city and state or country and however that works in other countries in it and see what's near you. If not, there are a lot of online resources. You can use the University of YouTube, but be very careful about who you follow because there's a lot of dog trainers that have no credentials and will just spout stuff, which is why in our first episode we made sure we like said what our background is on all of this because we know how the online dog world is. Make sure it's somebody that you trust. Can also, if you're in Louisiana, gonna shout out Ronnie. I just blanked on her last name. I'll put it on the screen or like editing me will insert it in here. But she's fantastic. And also does conditioning stuff.
She does. She's
also a lot of other training.
Yeah, I've seen her do dock diving and she does a lot of fitness stuff.
And I believe that she started like the Bayou Dog Sports Club or something to that effect. It's on Facebook. I joined it just to like keep tabs on them. And yeah, obviously also join our group and we'll help you with all the random stuff that we do because a lot of what we do is just trying to get more people into different dog sports. And also, you'll find that we have a bingo card set up for January to March 31st. And it does backtrack to January 1. So like you can count everything you did in January and the first week of February since this is going to go out after the first week of February. And as always, we're going to wrap up the episode with a training tip. And this one is going to be teaching your dog either a nose target or a collar target. Essentially, it's getting your dog to bring their face to your hand so that at the end of a trial or a run, you can then get a collar back on them or the leash back on them because you don't want to have a great run and then not get your dog back and then get disqualified for that.
Right.
So
or have somebody like Jazz and Dolly with Fast Cat. Yeah, no, hand touches are super easy, super versatile. You can use them as part of your recall. You can use them to get your dog off of fitness equipment in a controlled manner so they're not launching off an inflatable and injuring themselves as they launch off their inflatable. Nike. Yeah, I taught her a nose target for that specific reason, and that's really the only thing that we use it for.
It's amazing.
Is getting her off of her fitness stuff.
So how I was taught to teach nose touches, specifically nose touch, a collar touch is similar, but with a couple extra steps. So I'm going to focus on the nose touch. And you take a treat and you put it between a couple fingers and you just let the dog nibble at the treat. And the longer that they nibble at the treat, you let them, like their nose has to touch your hand in order to do that. So your hand's going to be very slobbery. A collar grab, you just want the dog to, like, anytime their collar touches your hand, you either use your marker word or your clicker, whichever method you use. You mark that they did what you want and they get a treat right afterwards. And then you slowly build up duration. And doing that, you wait like half a second after you mark it before giving the treat. And then, like, you start marking it for a longer distance. So they do the action, you wait a second, mark it, and treat. And you just slowly build that up like you would a stay. It's a very slow, gradual process, but that
Right.
way you get a dog that gets sticky instead of
Yeah.
pokey,
Yeah.
like Merle is.
Right. Yeah.
So we're currently working on the skill.
Yeah, you're doing that sustained nose touch, which also you can use that to train that heads up heel too.
Yes. Yeah, it can come in handy with a lot of other things.
So lots of different uses for a nose touch.
We appreciate your time. We know we've been talking for a little while. And we will see you guys next month in March for our 3rd episode, in which we will have a name for it by the time we get there.
Right. Yeah, if there's something specific you want us to talk about, let us know, and we'll try to work that in.
Also on our Discord, we do have a section for podcast ideas where if you join the Discord, you also get a few early access points because we have people put in their thoughts and opinions on it for us to bring to it, like the poll that we did for this one.
Right. Yeah, this idea was submitted by one of our group members on how to figure out what your dog enjoys doing, like what sport to pick with your dog.
Thank you for your time, and we'll see you guys next month.
Thanks for watching.